Hey, welcome everybody to the SugarU live webinar series. This month's topic is turbocharging manufacturing success with sugar cell. Now, if you're not in manufacturing, don't feel like you got to leave. Lots of the information that we're going to be covering has to do with any particular type of company that's going to find success with sugar cell. I'm just going to be using examples for manufacturing, okay? I'm Andrea Ayers. I've been with Sugar for 15 years. I'm the Senior Product Trainer, Instructional Designer, and I work directly with Sugar CRM. I've been in the training department, professional services, and back-end training, and again, so I've seen lots of implementations and lots of users on the back end once they get Sugar. Now what do I do with it, kind of thing. So let's jump right in with kind of the purpose of the webinar. So I know I said manufacturing is the topic, but this does apply for any sales team that's using Sugar Cell. We're going to show teams how to unlock that next level of efficiency. So you're already using sugar in a certain way, but we want you to grow with Sugar Cell. We want you to continue to improve. So we're going to demonstrate how to streamline some of your sales processes for faster results. We're going to highlight ways to connect operations more seamlessly across your organization and also empower those teams to sell smarter in today's competitive market. And how do you do that with Sugar Cell? Get my mouse going. So a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to jump into our agenda. So this session is being recorded, so I'm going to combine this bullet with the last one. That's the reason why you're on mute. You can still ask me any questions you want in chat. I'm constantly looking over at the webinar chat panel, and I'm happy to answer. I'm also going to have a QA at the very end of the session. So you are welcome, to wait till then if you want to ask a question, or if it has to do with something that we're talking about right that moment, I will answer it. And all of the slides, excuse me, let me clear my throat real quick. Sorry about that. I've got a little allergies going on, so sorry. All the slides and the recording are going to be posted on Sugar Club. I also send out after each webinar to all the people that enrolled, whether you attended or not, the recording and a copy of the slides in the PDF form, okay? And any other resources that I've provided throughout class, sorry, webinar. Classes, so I say class. So that's the housekeeping stuff. Let's go to what we're going to talk about. So we just did our little welcome, who I am, and what this particular purpose of this session is. We're going to talk about manufacturing sales challenges. So what kind of pain points are you experiencing in your organization as you're trying to sell products, okay? We're going to talk about streamlining some key strategies for manufacturing. The manufacturing sales cycle. We're going to achieve how to achieve a 360-degree view across relationships between records and modules within Sugar. We're going to leverage automation and insight, and we'll talk about what both those are when we get to that section. We're going to connect sales to production and fulfillment. Okay, how does that work within Sugar? What do you need to have in order for that to have that connection or relationship? And then we'll talk about some customer success stories, and then we're going to wrap it up with some QA and some additional resources at the end. Okay. Okay, so just a quick poll question. I just want to make sure everybody knows how to use chat. I just want to ask what your biggest challenge is in the sales process today. What kind of things, and whether you're in manufacturing or not, it doesn't matter. What kind of things do you have issues with? Type it in chat. What is your biggest challenge in the sales process? Disconnected systems. That's a good one. Very good. Lack of visibility. Reporting. Okay. Manual quoting. Ooh, that's not great, right? Best practices. That's a good one. We always need to know those. Anybody else? Approvals. Excellent. We're going to talk about approvals today too in our one of our demos. Long lead to order cycles. Okay, that's frustrating when it doesn't need to be, right? So that's an internal process that needs to be improved. All great. Excellent. Thank you for your feedback. There was a lot of duplicates in there too, that like disconnected systems. There are lots of other people saying the same thing, with lots of systems, lots of logins. All that's very true. Okay, so let's go into some of those kind of pain points that were talked about. So everybody, all sales teams, who you are, no matter what your particular group is going to have some cell challenges at one given time or another. But the idea is to help those sales challenges with all kinds of things. It could be processes, could be automation, could be a CRM system, it could be, better communication between teams, etc. And what slows down your lead to order process? So manufacturing, um, faces a unique set of sales challenges. And this may be true for some other types of industries, but specific for manufacturing, their specific pain points are one of those options that someone actually said earlier, which is disconnected systems. So many manufacturing organizations rely on a patchwork of some kind of legacy systems and spreadsheets and some siloed databases. And some of those may be all kinds of different systems, and some of them may only be used by one person. This fragmentation, creates a barrier between groups collaborating on particular sales deals, which results in duplication. Also, you may have issues with someone said this one, long lead to order cycles. Okay, complex product configurations, especially when you're trying to do just a simple quote and it becomes a more difficult situation. Maybe just getting a price approval, right? I need this price approval today, and I the way to do that is very complicated to track down a superior to get that. Quote validations often stretch out the sales cycle. And that's, once again, all internal stuff that we can make better. There's also a struggle for quick response times and leads, missing opportunities and customer frustration, right? Customer asks for something or the customer needs some kind of demo and they don't get it. They don't get what they need from the sales team because there's not a follow-up system to track those things. There's also limited visibility across departments, right? Because systems are fragmented and legacy systems are kind of patchwork together. Not everybody sees all the different systems, or you have to log out and log in and log out and log in out of all these different systems in order to get access to one little piece of information. So it's very difficult to track a deal because there's lots of bits that fit into that one sales deal. And it's also because it's very fragmented, you get a lack of real-time insights and managers are left without data. So next month's session, by the way, is specifically for managers. Like if I'm a manager, how do I use SugarCell to manage my team? So I'm just going to briefly tell you, next month's session, we're going to go into specifically a manager's roles or management role into SugarCell specifically. So that I'm going to not cover a lot of that stuff because we're going to cover that next month. Okay. These challenges can be frustrating, right? They are a pain. And not only that, they're costly. But you don't have to deal with this, and this does not have to be the norm. So SugarCell is specifically designed or has a specific design for manufacturing organizations in mind. It provides a unified platform that connects your data, simplifies complex sales processes, and offers a real-time visibility across departments, which is one of the biggie pain points, right? So let's explore how SugarCell transforms these pain points into opportunities for efficiency and growth. Okay, so how SugarCell is purpose-built for manufacturing. So first of all, SugarCell is designed with manufacturing organizations in mind, with their unique frustrations or issues, right? Whatever that pain point that they experience, we're going to try to solve that within the system. It helps unify platforms across connection excuse me, that connects your data, simplifies processes, and offers visibility. So connecting platforms is what we call integrations within the system. And one of the biggies with manufacturing is that connection between the CRM and an ERP system, which most manufacturing organizations use. So it needs to have that connection. We're going to talk about that integration in just a little bit. But in Sugar itself, we have places to simplify your data, right? You don't have to put in every single field that's in every single record that exists. You need the information that's specific. And how do you simplify that for your end users? And also, how do you see other things within the information? There could be some fields that you need very quickly, very specifically in your CRM that are actually in the ERP system. So how do we get that data into Sugar? That's called an integration, and that can be done very easily with our PS team. It also helps transform those pain points into opportunities. Okay, so now let's talk about how to streamline some key stages in your manufacturing sales cycle. So from first contact, right, to final delivery. So you got your lead, you're going to cultivate that lead, you're going to qualify it, you're going to convert it, is what we call it in Sugar, into a opportunity, a contact, and a account, and then you're going to take that opportunity until it closes the deal. So we want that to be faster, smarter, and seamlessly connect to other instances or other relationships within Sugar itself. Okay, so let's talk about lead qualification. Okay, every organization, when you get to lead qualification, does this differently. Like they have, and your organization as a whole, I know this is going to sound simple, but just bear with me. Everybody, all the sales team needs to identify what does it mean to have a qualified lead, right? So you may have 5 people in this region that do it this way and 2 over here do it this way, and this northern region up here, they do it completely differently. As an organization, you need to decide what that is so that when you say this lead is qualified, everybody knows what that means. Okay. So Sugar Cell, once you've made that decision of what that is, Sugar Cell is going to help your sales team quickly identify those high quality leads using built-in scoring, activity tracking, and an AI powered insight. So there is actually in Sugar Cell an AI dashlet on a lead that tells you how not only what's going on in that particular lead, how much interactions you've done on a particular timeline, but also a little bit about that organization and also how close you are to closing it or converting it, excuse me, qualifying it into an opportunity. It surfaces the most promising opportunities. So once you've converted it and you are you've qualified it, converted it, now it's opportunity based on certain behaviors like emails that they've opened, websites that they've visited, engaged history, whether they are a good, are they at risk of not being closed, or are they a potential, high potential of closing the deal between a certain time and period. You can automate lead routing based on product interest, geography, verticals. This will ensure your users or reps, whatever you're going to call them, engage in the right lead at the right time. So we're going to talk about a little later about that automation. Like how do I set up a process that's standard every time that assigns leads to the correct people in the correct region, etc. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to actually show you a couple of workflows in the system that do that. Now we're not going to create workflows today because that is a whole class that I teach that's 2 days long. It's 3.5 hours a day. So it's a little more complex than covering in a few minutes in a webinar. So I do have a class. If you want to attend that, please shoot me an email or university@sugarcrm.com, an email for a link to the next Sugar BPM class. That's what it's called. Sugar BPM, all together, one word. Okay, also, so that's the automated part. It also can generate, capture, and qualify leads in real time so that your users see what's actually happening at this moment, which means that your reports will look more accurate. You'll have the actual data from that particular situation. You can, so think of it this way. if a lead comes in, whether it's from a web to lead form, or it came in from marketing, or it was manually added, whatever it is, you can have a automation system go in and automatically assign it to rep based on certain criteria, clear or start a scoring process based on the data of that particular record, and recommend next steps or best action recommendations. Okay, all can be done within SugarCell. Okay, so let's talk about, you've got the lead qualified, you converted it into an opportunity. Let's deal with how manufacturing quotes often involved configurable products, price tiering, and volume discounts. So when you deal with a particular quote configuration, and this could be like manufacturing often involves configuring products, pricing, volume discounts, but SugarCell integrates with a CPQ tool. And by the way, I'm going to give you a link here in just a second, to support custom quote logic to streamline this process. Now we have in our marketplace, if y'all are not familiar with this, it is not things that we sell, but usually it's things that we have partners or customers have created out in the community. And this is the link to the marketplace for specifically the CPQ tools that are out there to deal with that quote logic and streamlining that process. If you're interested in that, bookmark that link for later and take a look at it, okay? There's also, so besides integrating with CPQ tools, it also can generate accurate professional quotes within minutes, right? We can easily add things from a product catalog that's set up by an admin into a quote using the quotes functionality that's in the system. And it has particular pricing rules that can reflect real-time inventory and customer-specific terms, okay? And that information can be populated also from your ERP system into different fields within the system, okay? It also has built-in approval workflows that make it easy to manage complex quote validations without email chains or delays. Now, when I say it has built-in approval workflows, there are workflows that exist. You have to turn them on first in the system, and then you have to verify that they match your specific organization, right? The one I'm going to show you in a little bit is out of the box. It's exactly the way it comes, and all I did was enable it. And as soon as it's enabled and the next workflow, the next interaction that triggers that workflow, it begins. So I'm going to demo that a little bit later in the webinar so you get to see how that approval process actually works specifically on a quote. Okay. So now let's talk about order management handoffs. Now this is where we get a little difficulty sometimes when we're dealing with more than one group within an organization. So someone's using sale and they're a sales rep, right? And they've created a lead and they've converted that lead. Now we're dealing with the opportunity. Now they created a quote. The quote has been approved in sell. And now what happens? So now there's this transition, some half sell, half ERP system where you're going to put in an order or enter an order. And then you have the ERP system that's going to do the order. Processing, inventory checks, invoices, delivery and fulfillment will get involved, shipping and logistics, manufacturing assembly, because we have to actually create whatever we're going to sell, and then some kind of payment collection, right? And then it transitions back to sell again in the post-sale support. Right? And that could be anything from ERP feeding back a status, an inventory, invoices, payments that are visible in SugarCell. Okay. So we're going to show a little later also an opportunity. And once that opportunity moves through a certain cycle, like it's closed won, it can trigger order syncs, right? Or status updates in an ERP system based on the sell stage of that particular opportunity. Now, this is true also if you're using revenue line items. If you're using revenue line items, which by the way, that is just a granular view of an opportunity, like if you're selling 5 different products that have 5 different sales cycles, you can put them all in revenue line items and they all roll up into one opportunity, okay? So if you're using revenue line items, just replace the word revenue items instead of an opportunity, okay? A sales deal. Once that status is closed won, we can trigger off that. In a workflow within SugarCell or with a integration that's going to pull data from an ERP system or send something to the ERP system to continue the process for fulfillment. Okay. All right. So what we need to do is tailor our workflows to reflect manufacturing specific sales processes that are out there. So we have some that are there, but everybody's unique. Everybody does things in their own specific way. So SugarCell has a flexible workflow engine that's going to make or allow, excuse me, you to model your exact sales process. So we have some there. You're going to see those in a little bit. Whether it involves a dealer, a distributor, a network, custom engineering reviews, or milestone-based approvals. Whatever it is you want to particularly track, you can do that within the system. You can create rules for sales progression, automated task creation, or build custom alerts based on your team's unique steps. Okay. You also can adapt your processes, right? Just because they're working or halfway working in what you're doing now doesn't mean that's something that you want to continue with. So there are always other ways to do things, right? You're going to can adapt it to make sure it fits your organization. Whoops, I think I missed one. Oh, guess not. Let me say one more thing about this. So whether you're making an in-stock or making an order manufacturer, SugarCell is going to adapt to your process, not the other way around. So an example would be something like you create a workflow based on a product catalog or a region that's triggered, and then your engineering is going to review, or your compliance is going to start reviewing that particular item that's sent to them before the quote can be approved, right? They want to make sure that this quote, can we actually do this for this amount of money? So before that quote can be set to confirmed, you want to make sure that all the groups that need to do their part, or all the approvals need to take place before you move forward. Okay. So by streamlining the lead to order process, SugarCell is going to help manufacturers in all organizations shorten their sales cycle, improve quotes and accuracy, improve quote accuracy, and enhance internal collaboration, all while delivering a better experience for your buyers, right? We want to make sure it's as streamlined and time efficient as possible, right? Sometimes our customers get a little frustrated about how long things take, and that time is us, right? How much time are we taking to do a particular process internally? So it's kind of improving that. So you have a sales rep and they have these leads that have been converted. So how do they see that full picture of their customer within the system? Okay, how do we see all the different layers of the relationships? How do we see not just the end customer, but all of the other things like the distributors, resellers, their partners that may be out there also? Okay, and this is only possible if you have a complete view of all the parts. So let's talk about show customer, distributor, and partner relationship tracking. So in SugarCell is going to support account hierarchy. So you have an account, and that account is related to a contact, an opportunity, the original lead that was converted. It may even have a connection to a parent company, okay? Or this may be a subsidiary, or it's a relationship between a distributor and its end customer. Whatever that may be, there are some of those relationships in the system right now, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And there are others that be easily created. New relationships between records can be created, and even new types of modules that don't exist already can be created and related to accounts. Okay. You can also associate multiple contacts and their roles, and we're going to show you how to do that on an opportunity, and any partner accounts. So if you're working with a partner to create a particular or do a particular sales deal or complete a particular quote accurately, so, because they're the ones that's going to be working with the customer with each deal to reflect a real world B2B manufacturing relationship. Okay. Sales leads can quickly understand who the key decision makers are. And that could be a technical decision maker or a business decision maker, what channels they're involved in, and how the customer is connecting to a broader partnership ecosystem. Okay. So some organizations have specifically their CRM is for partners. In a certain manufacturing organizations, they include a different module, if you will, for partners and have them linked to specific accounts. Or they make those partners a particular type of account called partner, and then they relate those to the records. And that's the out of the box functionality itself, is that partners are just another account type. Right? They're just an account, but they have a different type than customer or distributor. And so anyway, you can put that within the system. It's already there. There's no building that has to take place unless you want it to look or be or work differently than that. You can also view historical relationships. So this is useful for those long-term sales cycles or your repeating business scenarios, right? They're buying more than one thing over many years from you. You have that historical relationship data that's in the system. So when we go into our demo a little later, if I can remember to do this, I'm going to try to remember. We're going to create, or I'm going to show you how you can create a parent-child relationships between accounts. So there's fields already there. One of the field on the accounts called member of, which means it would be a subsidiary of, say, a parent record. And then if you were looking at a parent record, there is a member organization subpanel, so you can list several records associated to a parent. Or if you have a headquarters and these are subsidiaries, whatever it may be, that is already in the system. But those names, member of and member organization subpanel, can be renamed. You can call them whatever you want, right? This is the parent company. This is the child accounts, or whatever you want to call them. They all that can be renamed in the system. That's just what they're called right now. Okay. So next thing, let's talk about just three things that help centralize data on accounts, activity history, support cases, and more. So Sugar centralizes a lot of activities in the system. So when you go in and see an account record, for example, you're going to see, and when I say you, I mean anyone across sales services, marketing, whoever is interacting with that particular customer or that particular record. You'll be able to see emails and call logs and meeting notes and open and close support cases. And even if those cases have been escalated, their escalation, contracts, orders or contracts, excuse me, not orders, contracts and quotes is what I'm trying to say, and any kind of marketing campaign that they've been engaged in. All of those activities will help with that 360 view, right? You want to see all of those interactions in the system. It also can list, or excuse me, show you accessibility directly within the account and opportunity record. There's no digging around for emails or switching systems to see if you're using Sugar to do all this. And yes, you can email inside of Sugar, right? And you can also archive into Sugar. Both of those things we have training for free videos on Sugar Club, by the way, on how to do those particular things. Okay, all can be done within the system, all accessible to all the people that the records are visible to. Now, what I mean by that is every record in Sugar has a team, right? And that team can be linked. Sorry, that record can be linked to one or more teams, and the teams simply are a group of users. Right? So you have 5 users in this team. If you add that team to a record, then those 5 users can see those records. Everybody else, not going to be able to, unless you're an admin, right? If you're an admin, you can see everything. You're a super user. But everybody else that's a regular user that's not in that team will not be able to see that record. So that's the only caveat to that particular statement. Custom modules can be added. right? Very easily done in Module Builder. If you attend the admin class, we actually go and create a custom module. You get to see me create one and you create one yourself in that particular class, just FYI. And then you can link that module to other modules and it can also have activities within it. So if you wanted to say, add something for product installs or warranties or site visits. You can tailor that to meet your specific business and then link those new modules to accounts, opportunities, contact, whatever you want to do, and they can each have their own activities also. Okay. All right. So let's talk about some use cases. So how does sales reps and operations benefit from this complete data connect? Okay, good question. So let's start off with sales rep specifically. So before a call, sales rep can view recent case activity. They can check for open orders. They can see who else from the company has been in contact with this particular main contact for this account or opportunity. This leads to a more informed conversation, right? We're going to talk about this in a little bit too. How to better cross-sell or see what their needs are or upsell opportunities. So let's say a sales rep notices a distributor has opened multiple support cases about a faulty part. This can influence obviously how they position or should, okay, I'm gonna use the word should, how they should position their upgrade or warranty package conversation with them, right? They may not want to do that at the time, depending on how upset they are in that support case at this particular moment. So that may be something for next week once it's solved and they are happy with the results, okay? But it's good to have that view of everything so you can see it before you jump into something that you don't want to. So let's say for the operations team. So this is after potentially after a quote has been approved, or it could be simply after you've closed the deal and you've got paid for it. Now, how does the support deal with that? So specifically, let's talk about operations. So when operations has access to sales insights, they can better forecast production needs and align logistics. Okay. If you're talking about a support team, they can proactively assist customers based on deal stages or accurate account tiers, right? So let's say a large customer is nearing the contract renewal. Say it's about to expire and they have some unsolved issues that can be prioritized for faster resolution to protect that particular relationship because you want them to renew, right? So it's nice to know those things ahead of time, which by the way, you could set up a workflow to do that called a process in Sugar BPM and that can help you with that particular process. So the contract's about to expire in 6 months, and we're going to do these 5 steps to make sure that they will renew and we'll have another contract for another year or 5 years or whatever it is. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about or show you a little demo within the system. So I'm going to go into Sugar here and talk about a few things or show you a few things that we've discussed. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of just a typical sales day, what it looks like, right, with the particular things that we've talked about. All right, so I'm going to log in as a sales rep. So I'm not going to log in as these 4 people. I'm going to actually log in as Chris. And Chris is a sales rep. Sorry, ignore these things. And here is his the dashboard that we have out of the box. He has kind of made his own dashboard with, here it is, my updated sales rep dashboard. So here's his, and he can see his pipeline for the current quarter that we're in, his active opportunities, his pipeline matrix, my new leads I need to follow up on, his activities he needs to do, he's got tasks he needs to accomplish, etc. So there's some other things on this particular dashboard, but he would start his day by going through this. But let's say he's working with a particular customer, he knows he needs to reference back to it, he can go back to that particular account in the menu that pops out from the module tab on the left. And White Cross Company is one of the organizations he's working with, and he just wants to review a few things before he picks up the phone and talks to them. So you can see the account at the top, at the bottom, all of the subpanels that have records underneath them, the icons are in color. If they are grayed out, then there's no records underneath that particular document, like, excuse me, that particular subpanel like documents. So first of all, we're going to go into opportunities. So he's got several opportunities, some of them closed already, but we're going to go into this first opportunity that's listed here. And in this opportunity, and you can see over here to the right, it's not turned on in our system, but there is the opportunity prediction conversion. So this is saying he's not likely to convert, but that's mainly because we just made up these accounts, right? They're not real. They don't have real data in them. So some of the predictions look a little off, but that's okay. Now you get to see what that looks like. It's over there on the right, just pulled it up on the screen. I didn't have to actually click on anything else. It's there. So the actual opportunity records at the top, I can see that it's in proposal price quote sell stage. So I'm going to go down to the particular quote and take a look at it. And let's open it up. So here's the quote. Well, we've got a big discount on this one, 25%. So we have an internal process that says any price quote that's in the negotiation quote stage and that the discount is over 20%, a manager has got to approve it. So if I went in and tried to edit this particular record, it gives me a warning. It says this record is participating in a process, right? So don't make any big changes until it's done with its process. So we're logged in right now as Chris. His boss is Will. So I'm going to go over and look at Will. We're going to log in as him. Sorry. Gotta get this taken off. Okay, so on Will's Sales Manager dashboard, which is an out of the box dashboard, by the way, he has got a sub panel right here. Let me grab this arrow, and it's called Quotes in Need of Approval. So this was the name of the quote. This is who it's. This is Wes. This is him, right? This is Wes's account. Will Weston, excuse me. And this was done about 2 hours ago. The name of the particular step in the workflow is called supervisor approval for discount. And the name of the actual workflow is called quote approval when discount exceeds 20%. So the trigger for this workflow is two things. It's got to be in the stage of negotiation and it has to be over 20%. So as soon as that's triggered, it goes to the person that it's supposed to get the approval from. They click on it and then they've got these, it looks like a regular quote, right? Except it has this information at the top, which is this is the name of the process and this is the name of the step in the process. And then he has two buttons. He's got to approve or reject. If it's approved, he can just simply click approved and then confirm it. If it's reject, he may want to put some notes in the record, right? He might need to go down to the show more into the description field and say, okay, this is why I'm rejecting this particular discount, okay? Whatever that particular reason is. And then at the top, he can hit reject and it will reject that particular process. And you can confirm it, okay? And then in the process, it can also go back and notify the person that triggered that particular step, which is usually the person who owns the particular quote, to let them know that that process was rejected or it was approved, whatever the situation may be, okay? So I'm going to log back in as Chris. So Will did that. He's the supervisor. So he's the one that approved it. Chris is going to go back to his work here, right? So he also on that same white cross, let's go back to that account. He also can see in the timeline all types of activities that exist. But one of the things that he can notice is based on the last meeting, he notices that Patricia, who is a contact on this particular account, emphasizes that they need to reduce the downtime. This needs to be a top priority. So when Chris discusses or starts to talk to Patricia about, let's go on to the next step within the process, he can acknowledge that, yes, I saw that you think that this is a high priority and we're going to do our best to accommodate you with these 5 steps, right? We're going to do this and this to help make sure that this impact on your team does not have a long downtime before they have to restart or redo a particular step within their process, right? He can also frame and align the account's goals. And he can say something like, I just wanted to be proactive. I already realized that you have some cases that are in the system here that have some escalations on them. And I'm going to make sure myself, I'm going to go over and directly deal with the rep that's dealing with this escalation, and we're going to get this fixed as soon as we can. And I'm going to contact you with the results, right? So whatever information they see in a particular record, that 360-degree view, they can then come up with a strategy, maybe some empathy, and a solution when they discuss this with the customer, rather than just jumping on a call and then getting bombarded with all of this frustration from the customer because they haven't looked at the record to see that, yeah, they've got 20 cases out there and 5 of them are the highest priority, and they're pretty upset about these things. And some of them have been escalated. They also need to know, okay, we're still waiting on we're in negotiation stage for a particular quote, and we need to get past that. We need to go to the next step. So what steps do we need to take in order to do that? Okay. Some of those steps can be helped with a smart guide in the system. There's not one particularly in here. Let me look at this. Here's just one. It doesn't matter. But smart guides can also help with this process where they are step-by-step actions. This is the process we take every single time, and they step you through all of those actions. So this is what you do in Q1, Q2, 4, etc. And then you just check them off as you go. Yep, I've done this, I've done that. This we didn't need to do, so I'm going to bypass that one, this one, as you go through the process. And as you go through each of the stages that are across the top, which are these arrows, they will change in color as though they are complete, to show they are complete. If they're gray, that means you haven't finished that particular stage yet. Okay, so that's a smart guide. And yes, we have videos to teach you how to create smart guides and how to use them on Sugar Club, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to ask a quick little poll question again to get back on track here. What features or capabilities that we've shown already so far would you think bring the biggest impact to your team? So if you started using some of these things, what do you think out of all the things that we showed may be the biggest impact? Okay, automation, good. Insight, perfect. Sugar BPM. Okay, several of you said sugar BPM. Okay. I got a me too, I'm sure that's the same thing. Automation, great. 360 view, very good. I think that's true too. That kind of encompasses a lot of things, right? Just making sure that things don't fall through the cracks. That's important, right? That does happen when you are very siloed, or you have an organization that has a lot of systems that not everybody uses, or they don't all use the same way. Okay, very good, thanks. All right, so let me remove my little arrow here. So with SugarCell, sales and service teams, right? They're going to have to work together sometimes, aren't just working with data. They're working smarter because of it. 360 view visibility means that faster decisions can be made, right? You're not waiting for things to get done. Better collaboration because people are able to see everything that has to do with the particular customer. And it has stronger relationships across the entire manufacturing value chain. So from beginning to end, everybody can see all the steps and we can see what step we're in right now. Okay. Great. So next thing is leveraging automation and insight. So I'm going to speed up just a little bit because I just looked at the clock. Okay. So I'm not going to go super fast, but just so you know. Okay. So this has to do specifically with Sugar Predict. And I have got a video I want to show you or not show you, but give you at the end of this little section that I want you to watch afterwards. And mainly because it just takes a little bit of time to watch. And we don't have the time to do that now. I'm going to give you a bunch of other resources too, so get prepared to bookmark a few things, okay? So AI, So Sugar Predict is our AI system that is in leads and opportunities. So Sugar Predict uses AI to score leads and opportunities based on some historical data and engagement patterns with us. Like what did they click on? What did they have they done marketing wise within any of the campaign engagements that we've had? It also can instantly see, or reps can instantly see, which opportunities are likely to close and which ones may be at risk, right? It also can prioritize your time and effort. So you're not wasting time on certain opportunities that may not be um, they don't have a high level of percentage of being able to be closed, right? Predict also helps with churn risk analysis and forecast accuracy, and it works out of the box. And what I mean by works out of the box, don't just think you're there and you turn it on. There are some requirements for um, AI to work within your system. Like you have to have a certain number of records, you have to be in the system a certain amount of time, etc. Those are all in documentation and specifically outlined as prerequisites for Sugar Predict. So once you meet those criteria, then you can follow the next steps to actually have it in the system. And what I mean by out of the box is that it is there. It's not something extra that you have to install within the system. It comes with sugar, a cell, okay? So that you can use it within the system. All right, so I'm going to put into chat, get ready to bookmark something, okay? So this is a video that kind of gives you a high level view of Sugar Predict and some of the things it can do in real life, like real life example. This is something that you may want to check out. Just bookmark it for later. Okay, so that was the insight part of this section. The next section has to do with real world automation examples. So, and this is not just manufacturing, this could be anybody. We have some of these in our system, and some of them are actually put together with two of these are actually one process. So I'm going to talk about them and then we'll go in and real quick and look at them. Okay. So you may want to do a workflow that automates some of your repetitive or error-prone tasks like follow-ups, right? I get a new lead, I've done my initial contact and then nothing, right? Nobody has updated this lead in 3 months. I want a reminder. Or maybe that's a long time. I would do actually a week. No one's contacted them, then maybe a supervisor needs to go in and look at those records, whatever it may be. You need to have some follow-up. Maybe you want uh, you have a certain time period to get something closed and you're going to ask someone to do an approval, but you're also going to say you have 12 hours to get it done, right? If it's not done within that time, it's overdue, and then the admin may be coming to you to say, hey, you've got these overdue processes and this is kind of a bottleneck in our particular process. You can route quotes to certain of a certain value to special with special discounts to managers or finance for approvals, right? We may need a certain person to actually go in there and click approve or reject. And that could be called, that's a task routing. We also can do lead routing or as case, you can do it with cases too, assigning leads based on certain criteria, right? What region they're in is usually a biggie that people do, what product lines they're interested in, and what maybe even a rep's capacity, right? This is what these particular reps can handle. So let me show you some workflows real quick. So I'm going to log out of Chris because he is not an admin. So these are things that only an administrator or someone with admin rights has access to. So in process definition, and this is out of the box, people, okay? This is not something, these are all processes that you get. They're all turned off. They're all deactivated. But here's the one that we just showed you a while ago called price approval when discount exceeds 20%. This is just the record itself, but this is what the little workflow looks like. I make it sound so simple. It's so little and cute. Um, to put this simply, we're going to trigger this workflow. Okay. Then a manager is going to approve or reject it. And so a decision needs to be made. Is it going to be approved or rejected? If it's approved, then we're going to send a notification that says, hey, it's been approved. If it has not been approved, then we're going to create a task that is assigned to the particular person who owns the quote that says, hey, you need to go back in here and make some changes or not offer them this much discount, whatever the particular situation is that the supervisor put in the notes, right? Whatever that may be. And then it ends. So real simple one, right? That's the first one kind of we were talking about that we already discussed. Then we have one that's for lead routing. And this one, a little more complex. You're going to see some more icons on the screen, but basically we're going to have what's called a business rule, and that is a repeatable action within Sugar BPM. And that action is going to define which region or territory a particular lead is going to be assigned to, and then it's going to round robin in that particular team. I mean, it's going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4 person, until it gets to the last one, and let's go back to number one again. It's going to round robin in that team and do assignments. We're going to notify them. We're going to wait a little bit and see if they're actually doing anything. Did it get converted? If it didn't, we're going to, hey, supervisor, you need to get involved with this and check on this particular lead and see why it's not been converted. So that is actually combining lead routing and making sure that records don't fall through the crack and don't get converted. Okay, so that's a combo one. There are several others on, see the target module here, on different modules that exist. You may not even use all these modules. Like you may not even use quoted lineups. You don't have to use that particular task. It's fine. And here's the biggie. You can create your own workflows, or you can take one of these workflows and change it to meet your specific needs. Okay. Once it is enabled, and you can see here, I only have one that's enabled, and that's the one that we used earlier. Once you make that disabled enable, which is easy as going over here and marking enabled, right? And confirm, and it's turned on. Next time that record, anything is changed, that's the trigger for that record. We got a new lead. Okay, we need to do an assignment. That workflow is going to start, and it's going to go through all its steps. Some of those steps are people activated. Most of the steps are automated by the system. They're doing most of the action. Can you have an entire workflow that's completely an automation and no person is doing an action? Yes, you can, and most of them are. Okay, so doing approvals is kind of it's an extra benefit. It's a great feature, but they're not in every single workflow that you do. Okay. Sometimes people just need to look at something and route it to the next person. They need to put a note in, they need to fill a field in, whatever it may be, and it goes to the next person in the step. Sometimes they actually need to approve or reject something in the system. Okay, so there's processes that exist already. There are also, I'm going to show you this real quickly in the slides, there are dashboards and reports. Okay, so quickly here on the dashboard page, do you see all these dashboards? All of them but who am I logged in? It's the admin. Okay, these are all out of the box. Okay, all out of the box dashboards. I recommend that you mark the ones that you like in your favorites. You can go to Manage Dashboard, put stars by the ones you like. And if you don't like one of them, then just unstar it and it won't be in your list. That's fine. But those are out of the box. You can create your own dashboards also. And that is also true for reports. There are a lot of reports that exist already in Sugar. You can copy them like a copy paste, like you would do in a Word document or something, duplicate it so that you can make your own changes. You don't change someone else's report, by the way. And then you can make whatever changes you want into your report. If it has a chart, then you can have that chart to a dashboard in what we call a dashlet. Okay, so all customizable by you, but we give you a lot of the out of the box stuff. If you want to use them, hey, they're there, right? If you don't, then you don't have to. It's fine. It's there for your use if you want to use it. Okay, so my last section here is connecting sales to your production and fulfillment group. So this keeps sales operations and your customer all in perfect sync. Okay, and that's what we want. So we want to bring CRM together with your either ERP or your MRP system. So we need to have some kind of integration. Now, integrations can be done by our PS team. So if that's something that you're interested in, or if you're working with a partner, you can do that with a partner also, and they can help with that integration. You want fields to be sent or data to be sent from Sugar to the ERP system. Once the process of fulfillment has been done or created, then you want certain fields to go back to the CRM system. So it's a two-way integration sending information and then receiving maybe some field data. So that integration can be created and added into the system, and it looks pretty seamless to your end users, by the way, that information is going back and forth. So they don't have to leave Sugar to go get a little bit of information from another system and then go, okay, now I can create this quote from it, or I can do this next step within my process. It's right here on the page I need it. Okay. The next thing is that sales teams, their visibility into inventory levels, production schedules, and delivery timelines that are actually in an ERP system are seen in Sugar. Maybe they can see those things because you have that integration between the two systems. Also, it enables automated order and creation tracking. So if once the quote is approved and a order is created in that ERP system based on a particular quote that's sent over, or the data that's sent over, you should be able to see that seamlessly between, or know that that quote, that order has been created in the ERP system looking at Sugar. And those are simply done by adding new fields in. Obviously the add integration, that's not necessarily simple, but that's something that our professional services team can do for you. But also pre-populating some fields that can be created within Sugar Cell to see that right away where they need it on the records that they need to see. Okay. Okay, so now let's talk about inventory visibility. So this has to do with reps need to be able to see products in stock. Otherwise, it's hard to do a quote to know, when things can be delivered or timelines to particular customers. So they need that particular information. Operations can better plan workloads based on upcoming demand, right? If they actually know what's in the pipeline in the sales organization. And finally, it helps make to order business a little bit more streamlined, to help support realistic quoting and capacity. Sorry, I'm tongue-tied. Capacity management. So when you see things, just like the one before, it helps you plan a little better. So if you don't have those, it can be a big pain point for not only the sales reps in your sales team, but also your operations team and also your make-to-order business. Okay, so let me talk about some success stories, and then we're going to wrap it up real quick. Okay, so a couple of organizations that we've worked with that are particularly manufacturing had some struggles or some pain points. The first one we dealt with, or that I'm going to talk about, had a pain point of struggling to get the most up-to-date data and relevant data front and center for everyone in the organization. So SugarCell now enables their particular teams to monitor accounts and opportunities across the board, and you generate insight reports on demand, which they didn't have access to before. It fuels their important business decisions, and it helps them adapt to solutions to their business, enabling them to optimize their efforts and help predict potential revenue for specific opportunities over the next 10 years. Okay, the next one is Jayco, and Jayco had some pain points about limited data and outdated systems, and that's a biggie for a lot of organizations. They face some challenges due to insufficient data, which is kind of stuff that you don't want to necessarily put all those gaps inside of Sugar, so you want to clean it before you put it in. And they had complicated tasks to gain that 360 view of their sales cycle. So they had to go to all different places, and maybe it wasn't 360, maybe it was more like 180 view of their customer, not just with sales, with marketing, but also customer service or support, whatever organization that may be for you. And specifically dealing with, they had wanted to see that 360 view with their dealerships. So Sugar CRM completely transformed their processes in Jayco Corporation. For the sales rep, conversations were smoother because they did actually have that 360 view of their customer and understanding what products a particular customer was interested in. I'm going to probably say this one wrong, but Convert, I think is how it's pronounced. They manufacture self-adhesive materials like different types of labels, which I love labels. So their pain point or pain points, this particular one, I think is just one, but it's a biggie. They had increased number of customers triggered a need to change the order and coordinating a streamlined business process, right? So they had all these customers come in and it was a big need that they needed to get some things changed. So, and some of that was with their ERP system. So it was considered like an offline system. It was not connected to any other system within their organization. So every time you wanted to get information, you had to log back into the ERP system, gain like one particular field data, right? Instead of having that information put into the system. So now there's a more complete understanding of the customer experience, and the business processes have been redesigned to align with their needs. This identifying key processes enabling an improvement in business agility and impact. And that was from one of their actual employees. So I have 0 minutes left, but this is what I'm going to do about questions. Okay. If you have any additional questions about this, this is where I'm going to point you. Okay. On our next steps, I'm going to actually put all of these into the chat in a little bit more precise way. Okay. And I just want you to click on them and bookmark them. Okay. Or just copy the whole thing and put it in Word or whatever, and you can reference them later. But the biggie here is this one. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Right here. So if you want to continue learning or you want to get more information from other people, there is a whole group of people that are just for manufacturing distribution that they engage with each other. Now, if you're finance, there's also a finance group. If you're healthcare, there's also a healthcare group. But specifically, because this is about manufacturing, there is a group on Sugar Club for engagement. Ask any question you want to and get answers from anyone in the community and actual other manufacturing distribution companies that what they deal with and how they've changed sugar, what they've done to solve that particular problem. Okay. There's also a bunch of use cases out there, right? Case studies from our customers, specifically manufacturing. What was their problem? What did they do to fix that problem? There's also a whole course, it's free, self-paced, take it your own time, that's called How to Use Sugar Cell. Okay, I recommend you don't have to implement everything that we train you in that course, okay? But it is everything from like a beginner's perspective that you may want to use, okay? So just FYI. There's also, if you want a specific tailored demo on some of the things that we talked about today, like maybe you want to see more about AI, request a tailored demo with that link, and someone in sales will contact you and they'll set that up with you. Okay. There's also a whole bunch of different resources that are out there. And there's this really cool blog that's called 5 Main Benefits of Integrating Your ERP and Your CRM System. Okay. I recommend you check those things out. Okay. Also, I just want to say thank you for sticking with me for 4 more minutes after the hour. I appreciate it. You'll have a great rest of your day. You're going to get an email from me after this session, after I get my recording back from Zoom, and I will send you the link to the recording, the copy of the slides, and also I'll send you all the links for the additional information. Okay, you have a great rest of your day. See you next time, next month, which is based on the sales management session that we'll do in September. Okay, see y'all later. Bye-bye.